What if you had a terminal diagnosis, and only one last chance to find the person you never stopped loving? Chloe thought her story was ending, until a single decision pulled her back, across miles of silence, into a forgotten town, and straight into the eyes of Noah. But what she finds there is not just love, it is a secret, hidden in an old cabin, a past that never let go, and a truth that could change everything she believes about time, about loss, about letting go. As her strength fades, and every moment grows heavier, one question remains: can love rewrite an ending that has already begun? Stay with this story, because what waits at the end is not what you expect. Before we dive into the incredible story, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comments below, and let someone know you are never alone. The doctor's voice felt distant, like wind crossing an empty field. Terminal. The word settled, heavy, inside my chest. The room smelled of antiseptic, cold metal, and something final. My fingers trembled against the edge of the table. Time suddenly fragile, and all I could see was Noah, his laughter, under a burning sunset, his hands steady when mine used to shake. I walked out into a wide frontier sky. Golden light spilled across endless land, beautiful and unbearably vast. How strange that the world looked so alive when mine felt like it was closing. Dust rose beneath my boots. Each step forward felt like a question. Would he remember me, or the girl who left without looking back? The wind carried silence and regret. Days stretched long, dry plains, kicking bones, a heart beating louder than fear. Small town, wooden fences, soft lantern glow. There, Noah, standing still, like time paused, just for me. My breath caught, the air shifted, sharp and unfamiliar. Shock spread through every nerve. His eyes met mine, and in that single moment, every mile, every year, every broken piece of me was, all at once, felt it. Not the illness, not the fear, but something deeper, warmer, terrifying in its truth. Oh, his voice, softer than memory. Chloe. The sound wrapped around me, like home. I thought I had lost forever. And suddenly, the diagnosis felt smaller than the distance I had already crossed. I stepped closer. The ground beneath me, unsteady, yet certain. Pain lingered in my chest, but it no longer ruled me, because in his eyes, I saw something stronger than endings, something patient, something waiting. And as the wind moved through the quiet town, I realized this journey was never about dying. It was about finding the part of me that still wanted to stay, and learning how to hold on to it, even as the horizon stretched wider, and the light around us deepened, and his hand slowly reached toward mine, carrying years of silence, and forgiveness, and everything we never said. His hand slowly reached toward mine, carrying years of silence, and forgiveness, and everything we never said. I hesitated, not from doubt, but from the weight of what still lived between us. The air felt thicker now, warmer. My pulse echoed in my ears, like distant thunder, rolling across the plains. His fingers touched mine, electric, real. Every nerve awakened, as if time reversed, just for that moment. You came back, he whispered. His voice carried something fragile, something afraid to break. I swallowed slowly. The taste of dust and unshed words lingered on my tongue. I ran out of reasons to stay away. A faint smile, not joy, but understanding, the kind that forms only after pain has carved its place. deep inside the soul. The wind shifted again, cooler now. It brushed against my skin, like a quiet reminder. Time still moved, but here, with him, softened. Noah stepped closer, close enough that I could see every line life had written on his face, close enough to feel the warmth he still carried. My chest tightened, not from illness, but from something fuller, something overwhelming. "I thought I lost you," he said. His words landed gently, yet they shook something deep within me. "I thought I lost myself," I answered. Silence followed, but it felt different now. Not empty, not heavy, alive. Around us, the town moved quietly. Lanterns flickered. A horse shifted in the distance. The scent of wood and earth wrapped around us, like a memory we both recognized. Sudden sharp ache cut through me, unexpected. My breath faltered. The world tilted, just slightly. Noah's hand tightened. Instantly, concern flashed across his face. Hidden. "I am here," he said quickly. Grounding. Steady. His voice pulled me back. From the edge, I felt creeping closer. I closed my eyes. For a second, feeling everything. Pain, fear, and beneath it, something unbreakable. When I looked at him again, I saw it clearly. Not pity, not sadness, but a quiet strength that refused to let me disappear. Without a fight, my fingers tightened around his, and for the first time, since that cold room, I was not thinking about the end. I was thinking about the next step forward, about the road that stretched beyond this town, about the mornings I had not seen yet, and the nights that still held stories waiting. And the way his presence steadied every uncertain breath, and how even now the sky above us deepened into shades of gold and blue, as if the world itself paused, watching closely, as we stood there, on the edge of something unknown, and something undeniable. And I took another step closer, feeling the ground shift beneath my feet, not with weakness, but with change. Not with weakness, but with change. The ground felt different now, firmer, as if it recognized my choice to remain. Noah's hand stayed in mine, steady, anchored. We began to walk, slow steps, through the narrow street, past flickering lanterns, and quiet doorways that held stories of their own. Each breath I took carried layers, wood smoke, and something softer, like belonging, returning. After a long absence, my body ached. A deep, persistent pull beneath my ribs flared suddenly, sharp, unforgiving. Stop, or caught, halfway inside me. The world narrowed, edges blurred, sound stretched thin. Noah turned instantly, both hands now, holding mine. "Stay with me," he said, voice low, firm. His eyes locked onto mine, refusing to let me drift into that dark, quiet place, waiting at the corners, focused on his face, on the warmth in his grip, on the rhythm of his breathing, steady, grounded, real. The pain lingered, but it shifted, less like an ending, more like a warning, reminder that time asked something of me. "I am here," I whispered, not just to him, but to myself. The moment passed slowly, like a storm, losing its strength. Without fully disappearing, we moved again, careful now, measured, every step deliberate. Beyond the town, the open land stretched wide, fields brushed with twilight, shadows long and reaching. The sky deepened into endless color, beautiful and heavy, with something unsaid. Noah guided me toward a small rise, just beyond the last fence. We stopped there. The wind met us again, cooler, stronger. It pressed against my chest, filled my lungs, carried both ache and clarity. "I used to come here," he said softly, his gaze fixed on the horizon. When things felt too much, this was where I remembered how to keep going. I followed his eyes, the line where earth, with sky, felt closer than before, not distant, reachable. My chest tightened again, but this time, with something deeper, in pain. I do not know how long I have, I said. The words came steady, even as my pulse quickened. Noah did not look away. Then we make that time matter. Simple, certain. His voice carried no fear, only purpose. The wind rose suddenly, strong enough to pull at my clothes, to tangle my hair, to press against me, like a force, testing my balance. I swayed slightly. The world tilted, just enough to remind me how fragile this moment still was. But I did not step back. I leaned forward instead, into the wind, into him, into the unknown path, stretching beyond the fading light, where every breath felt sharper, and every second carried weight, and the horizon no longer looked like an ending, but something waiting to be crossed. As my fingers tightened around his once more, and my heartbeat rose, not with fear, but with something fiercer, something rising against the limits placed before me, as the first stars began to appear, quietly watching, while we stood there, on the edge of everything, and I drew in another breath, deeper this time, as if preparing for what came next, for what came next. The breath settled slowly, inside my lungs, deeper than before, sharper, alive. The wind eased, just enough to let the silence return, but it was no longer empty, carried presence. Noah's hand shifted, slightly in mine, not to hold tighter, but to understand the rhythm I was finding again. I feel it, I said quietly. He tilted his head. The edge, I continued, that place where everything could fall or change. His eyes softened, not with fear, but recognition. I have stood there too, he answered. Pause, long enough to feel the truth between us settle. Then we moved again, down the other side of the rise. The grass brushed against my legs, persistent, real. Each step pressed into the earth with intention, each movement, quiet defiance. The pain returned, low at first, then climbing, twisting, through my chest, like something refusing to be ignored. My breath hitched, the night air, suddenly colder. I slowed, then stopped. Noah stepped closer instantly. His hand moved to my shoulder, warm, grounding. Look at me, he said. I did. Even as the ache spread, even as the edges of the world blurred again, I stayed there, with him. His presence cut through the rising discomfort, like light, through heavy clouds. You are stronger than this moment, he said, not loud, not forceful, certain. I let the words sink, past the fear, past the trembling, into something deeper, that still listened. My breathing steadied, inch by inch. The pain lingered, but it loosened its grip. Not gone, never gone, but no longer in control. We stood there, in the open field, beneath a sky now filled with quiet stars, each one distant, yet present, like time itself, stretching endlessly, beyond what I could measure. I wasted so much of it, I whispered. The words slipped out, before I could stop them. Noah shook his head gently. You found your way back, he said. That is what matters. His voice carried no judgment, only acceptance, only space, for who I was, and who I still could be. The wind returned again, softer now, moved around us, instead of against us, as if something unseen had shifted. I took another step, then another, stronger, not because the pain disappeared, but because I moved with it, through it. The land stretched forward, open, waiting, and something inside me answered that call, not with fear, but with a quiet, rising fire. We walked deeper, into the night, past the edge of the familiar, into a space where every sound felt clearer, and every sensation carried meaning, and my body, though fragile, still moved with purpose, and his presence beside me remained constant, as if anchoring me to something greater than the limits I had feared. And I felt it again, that shift, that undeniable pull forward, as though the story itself refused to slow, refused to fade, as though something ahead waited, unseen, unspoken, yet certain. And I held on to that feeling, letting it guide my steps, as the darkness deepened, and the path beneath us continued, stretching farther into the unknown, stretching farther into the unknown. The darkness thickened, not empty, but full, of quiet movement, the sound of our steps, soft against a rhythm that felt almost deliberate. My breathing slowed, not from ease, but from focus, every inhale measured, every exhale, carrying something away, fear, regret, the weight I had carried alone. Noah stayed beside me, close enough that I could feel the heat of his presence, cutting through the cool night air. "Do you hear that?" he murmured. I stilled. "Listen." First, nothing. An faint sound, distant and steady, like something shifting, just beyond sight. My chest tightened again. Not pain, something sharper. Awareness. The wind changed direction suddenly. Cool air rushed past us, lifting strands of my hair, brushing against my face, like a quiet warning. The ground beneath my feet felt uneven now, rougher, unfamiliar. I stepped carefully, but my balance wavered, just slightly, enough to send a pulse of unease through my body. Noah's hand tightened instantly. "I have you," he said. Steady, certain. I nodded. Even as my pulse quickened, the sound came again, closer this time. A low creak, like wood under pressure, or something, moving where it should remain still. We moved forward anyway, 'cause stopping felt worse than knowing. The outline of something began to form ahead, dark against darker sky. Structure, weathered, cabin, stood alone, at the edge of the field, leaning slightly, as if time itself had pressed against it. For too long, the door hung open, just enough to reveal a deeper shadow within. My breath caught. The air around it felt different, heavier, as though the world paused, right at its threshold. "I used to know this place," Noah said quietly. His voice carried tension now, subtle, but real. "I have not been here in years." A strange pull settled inside me, not fear, something deeper, like memory, trying to surface through layers of time. I stepped closer. This shifted underfoot. Uneven. A faint scent reached me. Aged wood. And something else. Familiar. My chest tightened again. But not from pain. From recognition. Noah moved ahead of me. One careful step. Toward the open doorway. The wood creaked softly. Beneath his weight. The sound echoed. Longer than it should. Followed. Drawn forward. By something I could not name. The darkness inside felt deeper than night. Thicker. As if it held more than absence of light. My fingers brushed against the edge of the door. Rough, splintered, real, and yet something in the air shifted again. Subtle, unseen, quiet pressure, building just beneath the surface. Noah paused, turned slightly toward me. His expression changed. Not fear, but something close, something alert. "Chloe," my name lingered between us, as the silence inside the cabin seemed to deepen, pulling at every sense, every instinct, every fragile thread of awareness I had left. As I stood at the threshold, feeling the weight of something unseen pressing closer, and my heartbeat rose again, louder, faster, not from illness, but from the sudden certainty that whatever waited inside would change everything, and I took one more step forward, crossing into the shadow, as the air around me shifted, and something within that darkness moved just enough to be felt, but not yet seen, The air inside closed around me, charged with something, could almost touch. My skin prickled, every sense sharpened. The faint light from outside barely reached the floor, stretching thin, before dissolving into shadow. I took another step. The wood beneath my feet groaned softly, a slow aching sound that lingered longer than it should. Noah stayed just ahead, close, yet somehow already part of the dark, gathering around us. "Stay near," he said, his voice lower now, careful, measured. I nodded, even as my pulse climbed higher, faster, echoing in my ears, like a warning. Could not ignore. The scent grew stronger, old timber, and something faint, like dried lavender, hidden in forgotten corners. A memory stirred, soft at first, then clearer. A room, sunlight spilling through a window, laughter caught in warm air, promise spoken, without fear. My breath caught. "Noah!" My voice barely formed. He turned slightly, his silhouette shifting against the dim light. "You remember," he said quietly. Not a question, knowing. I stepped further in. The darkness seemed to move, not alive, but responsive, as if it listened, as if it waited. My hand brushed the wall, rough wood, cool to the touch, real, yet beneath it, faint vibration, subtle, unsettling. My chest tightened again, a sharp pull, quick, intense. My breath staggered. The room tilted, just slightly. Noah was there instantly, his hand at my back, firm, steady. "I have you," he repeated, closer now, stronger. I leaned into that certainty, let it hold me. As the wave passed, slowly, reluctantly, when it eased, the silence returned, deeper than before. Sound, barely there, shift, from the far corner of the room, froze, every muscle alert. Noah's hand tightened. We both listened. The sound came again, not wood, not wind, something lighter, movement, too deliberate to ignore. My eyes strained against the darkness. Shapes began to form, faint outlines, suggestions of objects, long untouched, table, chair, and beyond, something low, near the floor. My heart pounded harder, not from fear alone, but from the pull of something unfinished, something waiting for me. I stepped forward. Before I could stop myself, Noah followed instantly. The floor creaked again, louder this time. The sound echoed through the small space, like a signal, announcing our presence. The air shifted, colder now, tighter. The faint shape ahead became clearer, small chest, worn, closed, resting alone. In the far corner, my breath slowed, drawn toward it, toward whatever it held. Noah's voice came low, almost a warning. "We left things here." He stopped, the sentence unfinished, heavy with meaning. My fingers trembled as I moved closer, each step louder. In the silence, each second stretching, longer than it should. I reached down, my hand hovering just above the lid. The wood felt colder than the air around it, as if it held something sealed. For too long, my pulse surged, insistent. The pain in my chest flickered again, brief, like a reminder. That time still pressed forward, but I did not pull back, could not, because whatever waited inside felt tied to something deeper than fear, deeper than memory, something that had followed me across distance and years, something that now stood at the edge of being revealed. As my fingers slowly lowered, and touched the surface of the chest, and the moment stretched thin, ready to break, as the air around us tightened, and the silence grew heavier, and something unseen shifted again, just behind us, close enough to be felt, yet still hidden, as my breath caught once more, and I began to lift the lid. The lid lifted, slowly, the hinge whispered, like a secret, finally ready to be told. Inside, not darkness, like warm, unsteady at first, then growing. I gasped, not from fear, but from recognition. Letters, dozens of them, folded carefully, tied with a fading ribbon. My hands trembled as I picked one up. The paper felt fragile, yet alive, with everything we once were. Noah, my voice broke softly. I wrote these, he said. I never sent them. The words settled deep inside me. I opened one. His handwriting, familiar, steady, full of the things we left unsaid. Every line, love, every word, waiting. Tears blurred my vision, not from sorrow alone, but from the weight, time, we thought we had lost. I looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, I saw it clearly. Love had never left. It had endured, quietly, patiently, through distance, through silence, through pain. My chest tightened again, but softer now, not a warning, reminder. Life was never promised in length, only in depth. I took his hand, placed the letters between us. We still have this moment, I said, my voice steadier than I felt. His fingers closed around mine, warm, certain, real. And we will fill it, he answered. Inside, the first light of dawn began to rise, until, golden, unstoppable, slipped through the cracks of the old cabin, touching everything, the past, the present. I stepped closer to him, no hesitation left, no distance remaining, only truth. Only now, the fear that once ruled me felt smaller, not gone, but no longer in control. 'Cause love, oh love, does not wait for perfect time, lives in the moments we choose to show up, to forgive, to say. I rested my head against his chest, his heartbeat steady, quiet promise, echoing into the morning. And as the light grew stronger, I understood, we do not measure life by how long it lasts, but by how deeply we dare to love, how bravely we return, and how willingly we hold another soul, even when time feels fragile, even when the road ahead remains unknown, even when every breath carries both pain and beauty together. Because in the end, it is not the fear of losing everything that defines us, but the courage to love anyway, and to choose presence, again, and again, and again.